Okay, hopefully that can see me. Hi there. Welcome to the vlog. Today I didn't record anything. I actually had some really great plans for today, but then I had to cancel all of them because my jaw started to hurt a lot. I consulted a doctor really quickly and they said it could be temporomandibular joint disorder. So it's basically just like a muscle pain in my jaw. So that's why I'm kind of not moving my mouth a lot when I talk. But I still wanted to make a vlog for today, despite not having done anything. So I thought I would just share a story. And this story is about the best day of my life. I find, just in general, people always are very generous with saying, this has been the best day of my life, or this is the greatest day of all time. So I spent some time recently thinking, what was my actual best day of my life? Not just something that I say, like, oh, this is the best day of my life, but what was the actual day in my life that I think I got the most out of? And I think back, I think it was 2014 maybe, it was December. I was spending the holidays with my mother in South Africa, and it was truly one of, if not the greatest trips in my entire life to this date. We stayed in Camps Bay, Cape Town, right across from the beach. We visited the Cape of Good Hope. We went to the top of Table Mountain. I jumped out of a plane. I went shark cage diving and saw a great white shark. I mean, just so many great things happened on this trip. And at the end of the trip, we went north to Kruger Park, which is where the animals roam. So we flew from Cape Town to Johannesburg, and then Johannesburg, we took a small plane to a little airport called Hoedspruit, I believe it was called. And this begins the best day of my life. Just saying, this is where it starts. So we're on the plane, and I look out the window, and it's rainy, and it's cloudy, and I can still remember it. It was very gray and dark and gloomy and dull. And the clouds were very low to the ground. There was almost like a foggy mist as well. And this was summer in South Africa, because winter in the northern hemisphere, December, is summer in the southern hemisphere. So everything was green and lush and vibrant as well. So there was some contrast between the lushness of the canopy against the gloominess of the atmosphere. And I'm looking out the window of this small airplane, and I see a giraffe. And this was like the first time I had really seen like a large wild mammal like this in its natural habitat, like this wild exotic animal that I just had never seen before, and it was truly amazing. That's just the beginning of the day. It gets so much better for me personally. So we land at the airport, and it's pouring rain. The plane is unloaded, and all the luggage is just thrown in the back of this truck, and a tarp is thrown over it, and everyone that was on the plane is just hiding under this little canopy at this small airport in Hoedspruit. And the rain was just like pouring off the sides of the alcoves of this little canopy we were under. And then as soon as you saw your bag being unloaded off the back of the truck, you kind of scurried out like a mouse and grabbed it and then scurried back. We got our bags, and then we hopped in a van, and then we drove to where we were staying in a reserve within Kruger called Chapungu was the place we were staying. So the whole drive there, it was just my mom, me, and then the driver. We were just driving through, and you'd see so many animals, and impala, and more giraffes, and some buffalo, and before even getting to our destination, we were already seeing so much. So we get to our place, and we kind of check in and do our thing, and then each day on safari, what you do is you wake up like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you go on a drive for sunrise, and then in the evening at sunset you go on another drive. So we got there for our first day in time for the evening drive, and we went out, and then we immediately saw some warthogs and buffalo and water buck maybe, and different like antelope species, more giraffes, stuff like that. The way that the safari works is that you're sitting in a jeep, and because this day was raining, we all had ponchos on as well. And then there's the driver to the jeep, and the driver sits up front. He's got a radio with him, and then all the different drivers communicate through the radio. So they're able to say like, oh, over in this area there's a lion, or over this area there's a leopard, or over here there's a rhino. And then there's also somebody else in the jeep, and this person is the ranger. And the ranger sits in this modified seat at the very front bumper of the jeep, which is used for them to be able to see around the corners before the driver. So as the jeep turns a corner, the ranger is the first line of sight with any dangers or any animals or anything really in the way, so that they can notify the driver beforehand. So we're driving around, and then we're seeing so many great things, and our driver says, I was just listening to the radio, and they said there's some elephants up ahead. Elephants are my all-time favorite animal ever. Largest land mammal. They got the tusks, the big ears. African elephants have big ears. they're just such majestic creatures, and there's such a loyalty between elephants and like elephants and their kin. It's almost like they're so human-like in the way that they behave, but they're just these gentle giants, and I've always loved them. I was getting excited that we were looking for elephants now. He's speeding, he's flooring it, the Jeep is flying through the trees over the brown mud, and we're getting soaked in the rain, and we're going over bumps and hills, and it's so intense. In the same trip, I was shark cage diving, I jumped out of a plane, but I had never felt adrenaline like this, like pumping through me. It was crazy. My heart was just pounding, because you're going through and you can't see through the foliage that much. So each corner, you're almost expecting there to be elephants, but then there isn't. And you keep going and you expect there to be more, but there isn't. And then eventually, you get there and you see the elephants. And a lot of times when things are built up so much inside of you, there's so much adrenaline about an event that's occurring, sometimes the outcome of the event isn't as much of a relief as you would like out of all this buildup, right? But this was different. This was so much buildup to see these elephants, and I was like shaking. I was so excited. But then once you saw them, it didn't stop, because then you get to just watch them, and it was beautiful. It was great to see my favorite animal in its natural environment, and there was a whole pack of elephants, and they were just walking down the road. They were eating some trees, doing their thing. They used their feet to dig up roots and stuff and eat, and then they just walked by, and they were so close to us, and it was brilliant. And that was the best day of my life.